In Chapter 6 of Moby Dick, walking the streets of New Bedford on this Sunday morning, Ishmael describes the variety of people who are out and about. He then assures the reader that there are not only harpooners, cannibals, and bumpkins in the town, but also many wealthy people who've made their living in the whaling industry. In Chapter 7 of Moby Dick, Ishmael goes to a whaleman's chapel. There, he sees marble tablets inscribed with the names of those lost or killed at sea. Ishmael takes a seat and is surprised to notice Pequod is there too. The marble tablets remind him that he's about to embark on a voyage that may end in his death, but this doesn't frighten him. He does not fear the destruction of his body because he feels his soul is indestructible. In Chapter 8 of Moby Dick, the chapel's robust chaplain, Father Mapple, enters the chapel and takes off his wet jacket and hat, ascending to the high pulpit by a rope ladder similar to the one used to climb onto a ship. Ishmael is surprised that Father Mapple pulls the rope ladder up after him when he's situated on the pulpit, which is shaped like the front of a ship. In Chapter 9 of Moby Dick, Father Mapple kneels, prays, and leads a hymn, then preaches a powerful sermon about the biblical book of Jonah. His sermon centers on the topic of obedience to God, noting that if we obey God, we must disobey ourselves. And it is in this disobeying ourselves wherein the hardness of obeying God consists. Mapple uses his knowledge of ships and sailing to elaborate on the story of Jonah's attempt to run away from the task God had set before him. Mapple commends Jonah's repentance, which took place in the belly of the giant fish, or whale, to the congregation as a model for their own repentance. After his impassioned sermon, he covers his face with his hands, and the congregation quietly leaves until he's the last person there, kneeling in prayer. Ishmael, who's about to go to sea on a whaling boat, considers the marble tablets displayed in the chapel a warning message. There is death in this business of whaling. Father Mapple's sermon introduces several important themes that will be developed over the course of the novel. Just like Jonah, infamous Captain Ahab will try to follow his own plan rather than obeying the mission of the Pequod's owners. He will attempt to kill a much larger, much more powerful creature than himself, displaying an arrogance certainly classified as sinful pride. And like Jonah, he will be punished by a great whale acting as an agent of God, or fate, or nature, or all three. The presence of Pequod in the chapel speaks to Ishmael's exploration of noting differences between heathens and Christians, issues framed as being religious in nature, but are also racial. In the novel, the whaling industry is revealed to be one in which white men and those of other races mingle and coexist. Although there's still a racial hierarchy, respect for one another is one aspect of the relationships on the ship.